And we are back with Mr. Bruce Johnson, write-in candidate for state's attorney for Prince George's County. Welcome him back. So I want to start off where we left off at. And that question was, what's the progress and status of your campaign as it stands?
Well, I chose to run as an independent.
Okay.
And this suits me, and I think it suits that office.
Okay.
The state's attorney should not be a political position. It shouldn't be decisions on whether a person prosecutes shouldn't be politically based. Being an independent, I want to send the message that my office will base each and every case solely on the facts and not on some hidden agenda that you don't know about.
Okay.
Having said that, Maryland, as it currently situated, if you want to run as an independent, you have to either petition or be a write-in candidate. I initially started with petitions, which require 1% of registered voters need to get their signatures.
Which was how many?
6,150. That was my number.
Okay.
And I started about 4 months before the deadline, and I turned in 7,200 signatures to the Board of Elections.
Okay.
They excluded 1,600. When we did our analysis of their exclusions, we found out that people that they excluded were actually registered voters.
Okay.
Who were not going to have their voice heard. So we filed a suit to challenge the exclusions of those signatures under the theory that despite the fact they may not have signed their middle initial, or despite the fact that they may have signed in the wrong place, it's clear that they're registered voters and they wanted to see me on the ballot. Unfortunately, the statute is written in a way that leans towards the Board of Elections interpretation that even if a person signs as John Jones and prints their name as John D. Jones, the fact they don't put their middle initial in their signature invalidates that.
Wow.
It's very hurtful, very painful, given how hard we work. To get 7,200 signatures, let me tell you, you got to touch 9,000 people, because a lot of people are afraid or concerned about signing. They don't want to give you your personal information. So right now, I'm a write-in candidate. When you go to the polls, early voting and regular voting, you can simply write my name in. And I want to be an option for our county. I think I'm the best option. I think I'm the only option. I think I'm the only qualified person to actually run that office. So right now I'm running as a write-in candidate.
So just so I can clear some things up, because I had that question on my mind as well as to why did you wait so late? Because I watched Victor Ramirez. I watched, what was the other brother name?
Michael Lyles.
Michael Lyles and Miss Aisha Brave Boy, right? And I watched them do all of the forms and everything. And it was pretty good forms, right? But my question myself was, okay, why is he waiting so long? And you cleared it up because you're saying you want to run as an independent. Now, here's my question. How do you feel about your chances, considering people have to literally write you in?
It's an uphill battle. It's going to be an uphill battle. But, you know, I'll be transparent. God puts something in your heart. You don't walk in fear. I'm not going to walk in fear. I'm going to educate the public. I'm going to take my case to the people, like I did when I searched for signatures. The petition process really is educational. There were certain pockets of the county that I hadn't spent a lot of time in. I spent a lot of time in Upper Marlboro, Bowie, Laurel, but I hadn't spent a lot of time in District Heights, Capitol Heights, Fairmont Heights, and doing the petition process makes sure you got to walk on the street and talk to those people. And they have a very different perception of the state's attorney.
Right.
And a lot of them are angry. I needed to hear that. I needed to feel that. And the conversation was heated, but at the end of the conversation, they appreciate the fact that I was out there walking in the hot sun with my suit and tie on.
Right.
That I took the time to ask them what their concerns were. That I took the time to walk in the yard and shake their hands. And I wouldn't want the job any other way. If I want it, make me go to the people and make me earn it. That's the beauty, I think, about the petition process and being an independent. It's painful that we fell about 465 votes short,
Okay.
but I'm encouraged by the fact that 7,200 people said this man should be on the ballot, and so I'm not going to stop. I'm going to see this through the conclusion. I'm going to honor their trust and faith and sign that petition. I'm going to take it all the way to November 6th.
So so
I threw a lot at you right there.
Yeah, I don't have my pen to write down, but I wanted to follow up on. But let me move to this juvenile justice, right? Or let me ask you first before let me set this up. What does justice look like to you? What is justice?
When I think of justice, I think of the woman with the band she's around her head. She can't see it, and the scales. That's the way I view the process.
Okay.
That's the way I view the process. Look, I would be honored to serve as state's attorney. There's no other job that I want. I'm not using this as a stepping stone. I'm not looking to be governor. I'm not looking to be county executive. I want to be your state's attorney. I want to do it well.
Okay.
And I think our state's attorney's always been hurt because it's been used as a stepping stone. You go to any other counties in this county, their prosecutors are not leaving in droves like our county. They stay there, man. It's HR 101. If you have a prosecutor coming in the courtroom, buying into the people that work there, investing in their careers, investing in their families, investing in their lives, investing in the community, you're going to get way more out. You're going to get 2, 3-fold. But they haven't seen that. They haven't felt that. I like to give that back to them. If I have the opportunity to serve, I'm going to be walking the halls. They're going to know their boss is engaged, that he's knows what's going on in courtrooms, and if necessary, I'll pick up the file and take it home. Right now, the only other option, couldn't pick up a file, couldn't handle any type of case of any significance. I've handled homicides, I've handled rape cases, mortgage fraud, all the major county, state, federal, and I think that the young attorneys, young and old, doesn't matter, appreciate and respect the fact that somebody that they look down the hall, they can say that guy has done it before, and if necessary, he can do it again. I can go to him and ask him a question, he will understand. And the same thing with the police officer, builds credibility, builds trust.
I appreciate it. So back to my juvenile justice, as you said, you did your homework on me, so you know that my first charge, I was 17 years old, and I was sentenced to 20 years. Came back, court of federal charge, what have you. But what I want to get to is how our juveniles are treated. Now, I committed a crime. There's no question about that, right? But I still feel like justice wasn't served. 20 years to me, considering now that I'm 43 years old, and now I know what trauma looks like. I know what trauma is. So at a very young age, watching dead bodies, right? The things that we watch growing up in the inner cities or what have you, now I know that I was traumatized. That's what made me pick up a gun, because of my fear of me being laying on the ground, right? So in prosecuting juveniles, what sense of compassion would you bring to our juvenile offenders instead of just throwing us away, giving us 100 years, double life, triple life?
I agree.
Now, I'm not saying that I didn't deserve no time, but I'm saying I think that 20 years was a little bit, it didn't serve. And when I say it didn't serve, I'm saying that we have to have compassion for our youth offenders, and we have to set them up to whereas though when they go into these facilities, they are being rehabilitated and not just being thrown away as criminals and adults. So what could you, in the sentencing phase, when you see a PSI and you see all of the trauma, what could you do to level the sentence or bring about justice to the juvenile offenders?
Well, I think we got to be creative. When I was assistant state attorney and I worked in the juvenile division, I tried to be creative. And I would try to get to know a little bit about the person and making a decision about what to do.
Okay.
So sometimes I would give them books to read. I said, I want you to read this book. I want you to come back and I want you to explain to me what it means to you, what the themes are, and so forth. And you know, it had some success. There were other times when I proposed doing community service, like if they did vandalism. I want you to go to this car shop. I want you to clean up all that.
Okay.
And when they come back and tell me you've done it, then we'll talk about what might be a fair sentence.
Okay.
I think we need to be creative. I think we need to try to get to the heart, the root of the problem. It does nothing to warehouse a person if you haven't cut to what's bringing them to that offense.
Okay.
And I think we can do that. I think we have the resources to do it. I think it comes down to hiring decisions. Your top state's attorney needs to know what he or she's looking for in a person's spirit.
Okay.
Not just whether they have the right degrees, but what is their spirit? What is their heart? Why are they in this job? Are they in this because they're committed, or are they in there because they're looking, well, how would this build my resume?
Okay.
And that's why experience is important. That's why experience matters. You see my signs up all over the county. We got about 20 signs up. We're gonna try to get a few more. But experience matters because I've been in the trenches, and I've had to look a mom in the eye who cries when her son is taken away. And I've had to look in the eyes of a mom whose son is the victim of a crime. So I've seen both sides. So I think I'm in a position to train new attorneys and help them have that compassion. But when necessary, do what's necessary to hold a person accountable.
Right, sir.
So I think the experience matters. Training the right people, hiring the right people, and having credibility with police officers, telling them to back off on certain cases, telling them, look them in the eye, I'm not going to pursue that type of a case. Or if you want me to pursue it, you're going to bring more than what you brought. And I think because I've been in those wars, I'll have that credibility with them.
Great. So there was a question right here. Before I get to this question, this is on my mind. I got to get it out.
Yes, sir.
Now, I spoke about trauma from the standpoint of the offenders, right? Whether adults or youth. I had a conversation with a buddy of mine, and he blew my mind with this. He said that just like we went through trauma as youth on the streets from what we saw, your prosecutors go through trauma as they deal with some of the most heinous crimes, some of the most violent crimes, rapes, murders, and child molestation. Is there in place some kind of mental health? I don't know if I can say mental health program involved, but how would you take care of the trauma of your attorneys that go through this from day in and day out? Is there a plan implemented, or can you come up with some kind of plan that would support your state's attorneys with dealing with that?
This is an excellent topic, and let me be transparent with you. I feel like when I was a state's attorney under both Alex Williams, who became a federal judge, and Jack Johnson, they trusted me enough to have me work on some of the most significant cases.
Okay.
And those turned out to be the more violent cases, the carjackings, the robberies, and rapes. And let me tell you, if you care, if your heart is in it, it will affect you. It will seep in. And it's something that I struggle with, and it's something that we as states didn't talk about. But I think it's something that we should. And the benefit to having a state's attorney who's been there is that I can see when a person may be troubled by the case. Or I can see when a person is burned out. When maybe we shift him or her to grand jury for a little while, which is a little less taxing. And I think that's where experience matters. But the point you raised is powerful, because if your heart is in it and you care, it will seep in.
Right.
One of the things that concerned me when I did work in office is that there weren't enough people bought in to being a state's attorney. 110%. And 110% means, if I have a trial Monday, I might work almost all day through the weekend to be ready for Monday. I don't care if it's a government job. The process to be ready come Monday. And I didn't see that enough when I worked there. And if I think I know what to look for. I think the judge I used to work for called it fire in the belly. You look for people that are hungry, got a little chip on the shoulder, got something to prove. Not to be mean-spirited to our citizens, but to love the job so much, to be so bought into it that you give everything you can. When the victim cries, you cry. When the victim's angry, you're angry. If you see a defendant that's hurting, you pull him aside, you talk to him in the presence of his lawyer, of course.
Right.
And you can coach him up. And that guy can have a powerful influence, a life-changing influence. And I've done that as an assistant state's attorney. Look, young man, I'm going to give you a chance this time. I believe in you, even when you don't believe in yourself. And we need it. We need assistant state's attorneys that have that kind of fire and that passion. That's what I'm going to be looking for if I get this job. I think I know what to look for because I've got it. And I've served in an office, and I know the people that had it around me, And I would build an office based upon that. And you're not going to have 21 people leaving in 6 months in my administration, because I'm picking the right people, and I'm going to be bought into their career. And they're going to know that I care and that I'm there to stay.
So we got 3 more minutes before we go to break. And I got so much stuff running through my mind. I think we need another hour on this one. It was about... Oh, man, I got so much stuff running through my mind. It was about when you were speaking about the training of the young attorneys. Because I'm listening to you and I'm hearing your passion. So it's kind of like...
I appreciate that.
It's throwing me off. It's throwing me off because...
Let me just say, I want the job. I want to serve. I know it sounds cliche, but I'd be honored to serve the citizens of Prince George's County.
Let's take a call real quick before we go to break. Maybe she'll call back. All right, so we'll get ready to set this up for a break, man. This is a great conversation. I'm glad you came in, man, especially with us being on the other side of the fence at some point in time. I had it was a question about...
come to you.
Yeah, man. So let's get ready for break. As a matter of fact, before we go to break, I want to make sure that you all support the show by purchasing one of my t-shirts, a plugged-in t-shirt. All proceeds from the show, all proceeds from the selling of the shirts go to the production of the show. So please support the show by purchasing a Plugged In with Joseph Tobit t-shirt. Let's go to commercial.
Hunger and homelessness are hurting too many families here in D.C. At D.C. Central Kitchen, we're taking on these crises every day, turning 3,000 pounds of donated and leftover food into 5,000 balanced meals for men, women, and children across our city. But we know, no matter how many meals our staff and volunteers prepare and deliver, food alone will never end hunger. That's why we give people the skills they need to leave poverty behind.
Right now, we're just putting a few different seasonings on it, some honey, some salt.
Our culinary job training program brings people in from DC's streets, shelters, and prisons and prepares them for real careers. Since the recession struck, 90% of our graduates have found jobs.
All right, I'll send you down.
At DC Central Kitchen, we're not just alleviating hunger, we're feeding the soul of the city. Come join us at dccentralkitchen.org.
Melissa, so it's kind of obvious what you enjoy here, because you are from head to toe in Pepsi, and then you have your little buddy down there too. Look at that guy. Yeah.
There's one in the car too.
Wow.
I love Pepsi.
We're having a ball down here at Graffiti Alley, doing it up with Melissa.
It's not more fun.
Yeah, check it out.
My machine kiosk.
Right.
Run the mill.
Alright. It's your boy Epic Photos here. We're showing you a little bit of what we're doing today. Pictures coming soon.
I support Ben Jealous for governor because he is a true leader. He has dedicated his life to civil rights. He has dedicated his life to organizing for the right issues for the community.
This is a man who's been in the fight for civil rights and human rights his whole career. Because I'm a lifelong member of the NAACP, and I know what an incredible leader of the organization and civil rights leader he was.
And with Ben Jealous, we have a chance to elect a governor that is not from the Annapolis political establishment, who will not stand for corporations, but who's standing with the people proudly.
I've worked with Ben where I've seen him bring different groups together and say, we've got to make a change, and we did. And frankly, we need a leader like that.
I don't think I have ever seen a candidate like Ben Jealous come along. He's cut from a different cloth. In order for Maryland to become a leader in taking care of people and for building our public education system, we need to elect Ben Jealous.